Hey everybody. Hope everybody's staying happy and healthy. Hopefully you ate some good food for Easter and you're back to work on Monday. So this is a review over sections 9.8 and 9.9. The quiz is going to be, I'm going to post a video. I'll probably have already explained this to you on the review or the intro video. But I'm going to give you a review as an assignment for this, okay, like a homework for this assignment due Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I will post the video going over the review, the key basically. And then on Thursday will be your quiz, and then you get an off day on Friday. Woo-hoo. Okay. It's like 2 Good Fridays in a row. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna take off my screen there. Yeah. All right. So here's what I want you to do first. I would like you to pause right here with the screen on and do these 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 problems. Okay. This might take you a little bit of time, but it would be a good review for you. Okay. So I'm going to pause right here. I want you to do these problems, and then the rest of the video is just going over these problems. Okay. Okay. All right. So here we go. Now, remember the rules for completing the square. The first rule is that everything, all the variables must be on the left side and the constants must be on the right side. And then at that point, you can identify what the b value is and take half of b, then square it and add it to both sides. Now, so for this first one here, x squared minus 10x is equal to 24. Variables on the left, constant on the right, perfect, already set up. So I'm going to take x squared minus 10x, and I'm going to write a blank here, and then I'm going to have a blank here, right? Okay, so what fills in that blank? Well, we got to take half of b. b is negative 10, and then b over 2 is negative 5. So this I know right now is going to turn into an x minus 5 squared. But what do I have to add here? Oh, I have to add this squared, which is 25. Okay, so I'm going to add 25 to both sides. Okay, so that gives me a 49 on both sides. 24 plus 25 is 49. Now I square root the opposite side. I get an x minus 5 is equal to plus or minus 7. And at this point, that's where I create my two equations. X minus 5 is equal to 7, and x minus 5 is equal to negative 7. I add the 5 here and get a 12, and then I add the 5 here, and I get a negative 2. Okay, so there's my two answers there. All right, next problem here. Okay, again, it's already set up for me, so I'm going to fill in my blank. X squared minus 6x plus something equals negative 9 plus something. Okay, so I take half of b, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3, and then that squared is 9, right? So I'm going to add 9 to both sides. Now, the interesting part about this one is that this turns out to be an x minus 3 squared is equal to 0. Now, when I square root 0, I get 0. So this is actually x minus 3 is equal to 0. There's only one solution here. X is equal to 3. That's it. Okay. Next one, number 23 here. I get an x squared plus, oh, shoot. I didn't mean for you to do an, bummer. Oops. Oops. Okay. Never mind. You're probably like, what? What do I do with this 15? And do I make it 7.5? I don't know. Awkward. So, oops, sorry. I didn't mean for you to do number 23. Whoops. All the ones in the quiz are going to be an even number in the middle. So that's what makes it b over 2 really nice. Okay, sorry. Skip that. X squared plus 6x is equal to 16. And then I add 9 to both sides. Where do I get that 9, right? Well, that was 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then I square it, I get a 9. So this turns into an x plus 3. Again, that's always that b over 2. That's always that cut in half, right? And then is equal to 25. 16 and 9 and 25. Squared. So I get an x plus 3 is equal to plus or minus square root of 25 is 5. That means x plus 3 is equal to positive 5. X plus 3 is equal to negative 5. So we get an x equals 2 and an x equals negative 8 when I subtract that 3 over all parts. Okay? So those are my two solutions, negative 8 and then positive 2. All right, next problem up here, number 25. I get an x squared minus 2x is equal to 48. What number am I going to add to both sides? A 1. Negative 2 over 2 is negative 1. So that means I get an x minus 1 squared. And then negative 1 squared is actually just 1. A lot of people are trying to write a 2 there. Okay, make it 50. That would not be right. So x minus 1 is equal to plus or minus 7. I squared 49 to get 7. So x minus 1 is equal to 7. X minus 1 is equal to negative 7. So I get an x equals 8 or an x equals negative 6. These are my two solutions here. Okay, last problem for completing the square. Okay, we get x squared plus 12x plus something equals negative 36 plus that something, right? Okay, 12 over 6 is 2. Oh, 12 over 2 is 6. Whoops, sorry. Squared is 36. So this is another one where, look and see what happens here. I get an x plus 6 squared is equal to 0. Only going to be one solution. I square root 0, I get 0. So I get x plus 6 is equal to 0. I subtract the 6 to both sides. I get x is equal to negative 6. And that's all, folks. All right. Now, at this point, all of us that are still watching the video are going to get a bonus point on our quiz because, okay, so remember, I haven't told you anything yet. Okay, wherever you put your name on this next quiz, okay, so my name would be like Laverick, right? Now, I know you're not going to be, a lot of you are not printing out the quizzes, which is completely fine. You can do it on a separate piece of paper. But right next to your name, I would like you to put a star, okay, a star, okay? If you put a star, I'll give you a bonus point on this, but you got to put a star. Now, here's going to be the funny part, okay? Here's going to be the funny part. I'm going to give you all a bonus point for doing this star thing. However, just to be funny and just to make it worth your while for watching this video, I want everybody watching this video to tell everyone else that I told you to say a triangle. Okay. Now, here's the fun part. If you get 5 or more people to write a triangle, I'm going to raise that up to 2 bonus points for if you've gotten a star. If you get 10 or more people to write the triangle, I'm going to bump it up to 3 bonus points. If you get 15 or more people to write the triangle, you get a whole 4 whopping bonus points just for writing a star. Okay? So let me explain that again. You want the bonus point, you draw the star. You want additional bonus points, you tell everybody that wasn't smart enough to watch the video to write a triangle. And if people actually are silly enough to write triangles next to their names, the more people that write the triangle, the more bonus points you star people get. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So, but here's the moral of the story. Write a star and tell everybody else to write a triangle. All right. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to erase that away so people don't see that. Okay, here we go. It's a quadratic formula. So what is the quadratic formula? Remember that it's x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. Okay, there it is. Now, so where is that a, b, and c? So I like to write that out. -1, +1, 6. Okay, so we have x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times -1. Okay, so again, first you go underneath the radical, plus or minus. I'm going to bring up my calculator here. Got that funky looking graph. Look at that. Go back to my home screen. Okay, so we got 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 times 6. Ooh, comes out nice. The square root of 25, all divided by negative 2. Okay, so that means it's negative 1 plus or minus 5 all over negative 2. What does that mean? That means x equals negative 1 plus 5 over 2. Oops, sorry, negative 2. And then x equals negative 1 minus 5 over negative 2. So x equals negative 1 plus 5 is 4. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. Negative 1 minus 5 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by negative 2 is positive 3. Okay, those are my two solutions there. All right. Okay, so A is 3, B is negative 6, and C is negative 9. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of. We got negative 6 squared. Make sure you put that negative in parentheses when you go to square it. Minus 4 a c all divided by 2 times a, so 6. So that gives me 6 plus or minus the square root of. Okay, now I go to my calculator and I say parenthesis negative 6 please, squared, minus 4 times 3 times negative 9. That gives me a 144. I like that number because that's a perfect square. All divided by 6. So that gives me a 6 plus or minus 12 all over 6. Okay, so x equals 6 plus 12 over 6, and x equals 6 minus 12 over 6. So x equals 18 over 6, which is a 3, and x equals negative 6 over 6, which is a negative 1. Okay, so those are my two solutions there. Right. Okay, continue on. A is 2, B is 20, C is negative 10. Okay, so x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root. Ooh, 20 squared. Ooh, yikes. Minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. So 2 times 2 is 4. So we got negative 20 plus or minus, and then we've got inside parentheses 20 squared minus 4. Oops, that's a time symbol. Minus 4 times 2 times negative 10. 480. All divided by 4. Okay, so that means I've got a negative 20 plus or minus. Now, I've got a square root of 480. I don't know about that one. Square root 480 might come out as a decimal. 21.9. Yeah, it does. 21.9. All divided by 4. The homework may say write it as a square root and a decimal. Just do the decimal. I'm not really focused on the square root part of it. That's a Mrs. Knapholtz and Mr. Do That Thing. Negative 20 plus 21.9 over 4, and then negative 20 minus 21.9 over 4. Okay, so let's see what those come out to be. Negative 20 plus 21.9, that's just 1.9, divided by 4 gives me 4.7. Oh, excuse me, 0.475. X equals 0.475. And then I do the negative 20 minus 21.9, all divided by 4. Negative 10.475. Okay, that's my answer there. Okay, this is not in standard form, so let's put that in standard form. Minus 2x minus 6 equals 0. Why is those both minus? Because I have to subtract the 2x to get it over the left side, and then I would have to subtract the 6. So a is 1, b is negative 2, c is negative 6. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of. Now that's a negative 2. I don't know if you can read that negative 2 in there. Negative 2 squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times 1, or just 2. So x equals, go down there. Got to put this in parentheses, negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 6. You could use the times symbol or just parentheses, doesn't matter. 28, folks, 28. So that gives me a 2 plus or minus the square root of 28, all divided by 2. Now when I go to square root 28, square root 28, that gives me 5.29. 2 plus or minus 5.29 all over 2. So x equals 2 plus 5.29 all over 2. X equals, 2 minus 5.29 all over 2. Okay. So 2 plus would be 7.29. 7.29 divided by 2, 3.645. X equals 3.645, so 65. And then 2 minus 5.29. 2 minus 5.29. Oops, that's a time symbol. Negative 1.645. Negative 1.645, so 0.65 if I round. I don't really care what you round to, folks. Okay, let's do this last one. I'm going to add my x over to the other side, my x squared, right, to make that positive. So plus 4x, and then that would be a minus 7 because I would have to subtract the 7 over to the left side. So that would make it a is 1, b is 4, and then c is negative 7. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. So negative 4 plus or minus the square root of, now let's see what this is. Got 4, let me bring this over here, 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 7. Gives me 44, all divided by 2. Okay, now square root of 44, that doesn't come out nice. 6 something, 6.63. Negative 4 plus 6.63 over 2. Negative 4 minus 6.63 over 2. Okay. Negative 4 minus, negative 4 plus 6.63 would be a 2.63 over 2. It's a 1.32 rounded. X equals 1.32. And then a negative 10, negative 4 minus negative 6.63, negative 10.63 divided by 2 is a negative 5.32. Okay, those are my two answers. Again, hope we're all having a good week so far. Stay happy and healthy, folks. See ya later.